When I was a senior in high school, as I've shared with you before, I started dating my first girlfriend ever, right? She asked me to the Sadie Hawkins dance. You know what that is? Where the woman asked the man to the dance, in this case, the kid. And so it was fun, you know. We went to the dance, and I was a student government president, so after the date, we were putting on one of the homecoming or something like that. I needed a date to the homecoming. So I said, you want to go to homecoming? And, you know, then we were in a relationship. And it was fun. It was exciting. And it was tough. And I've talked about that before. But, you know, before that time, I was pretty carefree. I didn't have a self-conscious bone in my body, really, up to that point. And then we started to get into arguments. You know, nobody's responsible. We're both responsible for that. It seemed like all the time I was chasing her into the other room going, what's wrong? What did I say? You know? And she was angry or crying or whatever. And for the first time in my life, I started to feel self-conscious. Like, you know, what, like there was something wrong. I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I started to question myself. I started to get caught in my ego, really. And, I mean, we're all caught in our ego to some degree, unless we're levitating off the ground. You know, unless you know you're an avatar and you come back to help the rest of us, we're all caught in our ego to some degree. But for me, I was really, really getting stuck in that ego. And at one point, I felt trapped. I really didn't want to be in the relationship anymore. But I was afraid to break it off. I didn't want to hurt her feelings because I really did love her. And I really learned the difference between loving someone and being in a committed relationship with someone. That was my first real experience to know I can love somebody and yet not want to be in a long-term relationship with them. That was a valuable lesson. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Her parents, I liked her parents. They liked me. My parents liked her parents. Back and forth. I didn't want to disappoint them. And I was the student government of the school. I was worried about my reputation. What would it look like if I broke off and hurt this person's feelings? What would other people think? That's ego, right? And she was from a conservative Christian background, which she had left a very conservative school because they didn't want her to dance. They didn't want her to, you know, anything, basically. And she didn't believe in sex before marriage. I was raised Jewish. I never had anybody really talk to me about sex. Other than teenage movies about sex. And, you know, so part of me thought, well, maybe when prom comes around. And then when prom came around and left, then it was like, well, maybe when we go to college, you know, and go off. You know, ego. And I didn't like that side of myself. I didn't like seeing, I started to become critical, too, of her. You know, I was silently critical. And she had been kind of quiet and shy in school. So I'd always felt compassion for quiet people and the people who were not in the cool group. You know, I always was friendly with everybody. And now I started to become critical, thinking, well, maybe they're just quiet and shy because they're negative. You know, I just really started to get caught in my ego and lost. And it went on for years to come out of that. It was years before I could start to feel my natural, friendly, confident self again. And that brings us to the sixth chakra. The sixth chakra at the base of the skull is the medulla oblongata. If you place your hand back there at the base of the skull, feel that hollow cavity. It's the one place in the body that it can't be operated on directly, only peripherally. And it is not only the place where energy, life force comes into the body, according to the sages, but it's also the seat of the ego. It's the seat of the ego. Ego as Yogananda defined it, is identification with the personality, with the body, with the mind, with the emotions. That's the ego. And most people, their consciousness is centered in the ego center. Most people their actions, their thoughts, their perceptions are rooted in ego. I, me, and mine. In fact, we're in, according to Yogananda's teacher, his name was Sri Yukteswar, the Indian man, he taught that there are cycles of time that happen. And that right now we're in the age of energy. Energy started in the 1700s, and there was a transition, 1900, we were fully in the age of energy. And this is going to go on a long time. But in the age of energy, the focus is, one, you see the age of energy. You know, you can see it with lasers and smartphones and computers and the internet and all kinds of stuff indicate that we're in the age of energy. Here's the good news. One reason I bring that up is we're on an upward cycle as far as the ages go. Even though politically and there's a lot of unrest in the world today, according to this ancient cycles of time, things are going to get better. We may go through some turbulent, well, we probably will, we are, go through some turbulent times, but ultimately, greater spiritual awakening is going to happen. It can't be stopped. So that's positive, right? But part of the age of energy is the awakening of self-interest. Self-interest, the awakening of the intellect, and the awakening of energy. So in the past, those weren't existent. If you were born in a certain class, you stayed in the class. There was no hope to move anything better. It was, if that's where you are, that's where you're going to be. And there were hierarchies and this and that. Now we're in an age where people are self-interested. Hey, I can move up. I can get better. I can improve my life. I can make things better for myself and for my family and so on. That's very positive. That's empowerment. That's self-empowerment. We're in that age of self-empowerment and self-interest. But it has problems too, where it can become ego-centered self-interest, where it's really just what I want, even if I hurt other people. Now that's where you get into selfishness. All right? Selfishness is not taking care of yourself. That's good, taking care of yourself. Following your dreams, your desire, that's good. As long when it starts to hurt other people, when it starts to, I want what I want to the detriment of other people, now you're into selfishness, evil selfishness, so to speak, right? And that's where the self-interest part of this age can get off base, right? And we're talking about ego, the base of the skull, the seat of ego, where then it becomes me, my, and mine, and it's very limited, very limited. And that's, the shooting at the rally yesterday, and some of the political turmoil that we see in the world. Whether I agree or disagree with somebody's politics or policies or whatever, it really hurt me to see what happened in the rally yesterday. I don't care who it is. I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see another human being hurt, let alone killed, because of politics, because of views. We're on an upward age of cycle. Things are going to get better. There's not going to be one person who's going to stand in the way of the evolution of spiritual consciousness, right? We don't want to get pulled down by the ego. We don't want to get pulled down by limited thought processes. This is a temporary thing that we're going to see, and, there's a good chance we're going to see turmoil in this next year. Right? There's a good chance we're going to see more of it. I don't think that's negative. I think it's realistic. But the spiritual aspect of it is that you and I are spiritual beings, and we don't have to remain rooted in the ego. We can raise our consciousness, and that's what this awakening in the chakra energy is about. We want that energy to rise from the base and move on up through the sixth chakra. The polar opposite of the sixth chakra is the point between the eyebrows, the spiritual eye. If you place a finger at the base of your skull and one between the point of your eyebrows, that's your sixth chakra. And so we want the energy moving up to this point. That's the Christ center. When I say Christ, I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm talking about your divinity. I'm talking about your God-centeredness. It's right here. When the energy flows up, that's where you're feeling joy. That's when you're feeling upliftment. That's when you're feeling deep peace. It's the very spiritual. It's raising your energy. We've said this before, that when you feel good, you use terminology that reflects your energy going up. I feel uplifted. I feel on top of the world. Things are looking up. When people are depressed, what do? They're slumped over. The energy's down. I'm down in the dumps. It's all connected. And it doesn't matter whether you're religious or spiritual or not. That's just how it works. It doesn't matter what religion you are. That's the way you and I are created. Everybody sleeps, everybody eats, and everybody has a spiritual anatomy, and their energy is either going up or it's going down. I mean, it goes up and down, but when we want that energy to rise and merge at the spiritual eye. So the spiritual eye, the point between the eyebrows, the Christ center. And you got to be aware of your medulla. You got to be aware of this center in order to allow the energy to flow to this center. So it's not like you disregard this. It's the seat of the ego, and I don't quite understand this completely myself. It's the seat of the ego, but it's also the center that life force comes through. The sages tell us that at conception, the egg and the ovum unite, and they move from this point to form your brain, and then it goes down to form your nervous system and your spine, and the rays go out to form your body. We're talking about energy, right? That's how it happens. And but you got to be aware of this center in order to be aware of this center. So one practical application of the medulla center is imagining light flowing from this point, energizing your body. Now we've taught, Yogananda taught energization exercises, 30-some exercises to bring energy from this point into your body. You can use this point to draw life force for healing. If you have an issue in your body, you can see light flowing from this point, the medulla, which is where the same energy that created your brain and your nervous system can flow through you to help with healing in your body. If you have an area of your body that needs healing, you can imagine the light flowing from the medulla to that part of your body. Does anybody have an area in your body that needs some healing today? Do you have any area of your emotions that needs some healing today? Do you have any area of your spirit that needs some healing today? I think we all do, don't we? Do you know anybody who needs healing in their life? Well, you can send healing energy from the medulla as well to others. So it's that's important to know about the medulla, right? In fact, let's take a moment and let's draw some energy in from this point back here in the medulla. Let's stand up. Some of you know this. These are super conscious living exercises. At the retreat this weekend, I'm going to be teaching those of you going to the retreat the 30-some exercises for energizing your body that Yogananda taught. So you're going to go deep into that. But let's do a brief, some of the brief ones right now so that some of you can be doing this. Imagine light flowing from your medulla to every part of your body. Do you have an image of that? Light flowing in, and now walking in place and affirming, I'm awake and ready. I'm awake and ready. I've got to do it with energy. I'm awake and energy. I'm awake and ready. I'm awake and ready. Good. Now rubbing your body cells. Remember, you got trillions of body cells in you. You know that? Awake, rejoice, my body cells. Come on, give them a command. Awake, rejoice, my body cells. Awake, rejoice, my body cells. Good. Now watch out for your neighbor. I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic. I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic. One more time. I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic. Good. Now wrapping your skull. Be glad, my brain. Be wise, be strong. Awake, my sleeping saint, awake. Good. Now massage your scalp. Move the scalp around. Mess up your hair. Good. Doesn't that feel good? And now wrapping your heart. Wrapping your whole body. I'm the master of my body. I'm the master of myself. I'm the master of my body. I'm the master of myself. I'm the master of myself. I'm the master of myself. And now stand for a moment. How many of you feel more energy doing that? Yeah, right? What did you do? We took cosmic energy, we drew it in, we focused it, and we energized the cells of our body. You think your body likes that? You think your cells like that? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Do you think your brain likes that? Do you think your soul likes that? Absolutely. It's at your disposal anytime you decide to do it. Please be seated. So that's the medulla, drawing in energy. And at the point between the eyebrows is the spiritual eye, right? Where we experience communion with God. The spiritually evolved people like Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Mother Teresa, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, name sages, modern day Yogananda, Ramakrishna, Shivananda, other sages, native. I'm sure there's indigenous sages, there's Native American sages. Their consciousness was focused in the point of the eyebrows. In fact, Yogananda encouraged his students to keep their awareness at this point in every activity throughout the day, that would magnetize, draw the energy up your chakras to this point. Imagine keeping your awareness here all the time. What would that do? It would draw the energy up through your chakras. And I want to do that more myself. It's a good reminder, but it takes a lot of discipline, doesn't it? It takes a lot of remembering that. Focusing right here. Now, let me show you how you do that. You can start by doing it in meditation. I do it in meditation. Meditation, I remember sharing this years ago with someone that really helped his meditation a lot, because this is the seat of super consciousness. You got subconsciousness, you have your conscious mind, you have subconscious. When you sleep, you go into your subconscious. But when you rise in spiritual consciousness, you're rising in super consciousness. How many of you would be excited about rising in super consciousness? Yes. Well, so in meditation, you can keep your awareness here while you're meditating, and it will automatically draw your consciousness to a higher level. Now, how do you do that? You don't do it by being cross-eyed, No, I'm going to show you a little way to do this. Hold your thumb out, even with the point between your eyebrows, and look at your thumbnail. Right? Hold your arm up, and looking at your thumbnail, your awareness right now is at your spiritual eye, even though you're looking at your thumbnail. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to keep your awareness there, but you're going to close your eyes and lower your thumb, keeping your awareness in that same point. See, so now you're centered at the spiritual eye. You got that? Now imagine keeping your awareness there throughout the day. Just remembering periodically to bring your awareness at the spiritual eye. Now you're getting yourself out of the ego, more into spiritual consciousness. I know I'm going pretty deep this morning, and somebody here is probably like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's okay. That is fine. Take what you can understand for now. That can be helpful, and apply it. But that's the sixth chakra. is what we're talking about here. Focusing here can help you in your meditation, and it can help you during your day. Ideally, that's the place we want to function. We want our consciousness to come from. You know, when Jesus said, he often spoke, sometimes he spoke from his humanness, and sometimes he spoke as God, because he was so in tune with his spiritual eye, with his unity with spirit. And so that's the sixth chakra. I want to show you the spiritual eye up here. This, if you could really see it, which you can, I've seen it, and you don't have to even believe in it to see it. Remember, your chakras are energy. It's your energy body. And colors are part of energy. And the sages say if you could see what you really look like, you would be amazed by the beautiful color of you, the colors that make you up. And when you see the spiritual eye, when you're really calm and still, you see the spiritual eye clearly, that's what it looks like. It's a gold on the outside, it's a deep field of blue, and at the center is a 5-pointed silvery white star. Again, that's energy. It's energy. And it just, interestingly enough, you know, it's kind of like our bodies. We've got these four limbs, and then we have the head. That's like a star, really. And so what's the point of that? Is when you are in meditation, you can actually focus at this point and try to see through the darkness and try to see the spiritual eye. And what that will do is help bring you deeper into your meditation. That's one thing you can do in meditation, is to focus at the spiritual eye. And if you see it vaguely, what you might see is somewhat of a gold rim. You might see a yellowish gold, or you might see a deep field of blue, or you might see a vagueness of it. Or you may not see anything. I've only seen it a couple times. I don't really spend a lot of time looking at it, but it can be a focus for your meditation, and help you go deeper in your meditation. And if you ever see it, you'll go, oh, I know what that is. Try to be with it. Try to be in it. Now, takes us to the seventh chakra. The seventh chakra is the top of the head. Top of the brain. It's called the 1,000-petal lotus. And here's the thing, we don't have to focus on the seventh chakra that much, because as the sages tell us, when the spiritual eye is open, it opens up a channel to the seventh chakra. That's why when you're focusing on opening your chakras, you focus on the first six, because the seventh will open automatically when it's time, when you're ready. You know, the Yogananda, other sages have been asked, well, how come I can't just be enlightened now? Because your nervous system couldn't handle it. You would burn up. You know, you'd burn up. You got to prepare yourself. This is a process. You can't just go from where you are to the mountaintop. That's just not the way it works. Some lady started meditating for two months, and she came back and said, I don't understand, I'm not enlightened yet. Good luck, lady. You got a long route ahead of you. But here's the thing. The sages tell us that you are already fully liberated. That's what, when the seventh chakra opens up, that is liberation. Jesus said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I don't believe he was saying, believe in me, and when you die, you're going to go to heaven, and you're going to be next to me on a throne and all that, and you're liberated. Wouldn't it be nice if it were that easy? No, what else is that easy, really? I mean, everything you do, you got to work at, don't you? Everything you want to be good at, you got to work at. Why? Because that's how everything is created. And the Bible says man was created upright in the book of Genesis. You were created upright, but lo, man has created many inventions. What do you think those many inventions are? Man has created many inventions. We've got caught in our ego, In the beginning, we were, Adam and Eve, the story of the Garden of Eden. And we were walking with God. We were conscious of God. Everything was hunky-dory, and then we got caught in the ego, right? Basically, we started looking outside. We started going, well, God's not enough. God's not enough. I need more of this. I need more of that. I need somebody. I need this. I need that. Now we're an ego. We're an ego. But the sages tell us you're already liberated. You're already free. It's just you don't believe you are. I like that idea. That you are already at that high level. You just don't know it yet. And so we've got to start to remind ourselves that I am free now. I am liberated now. I'm not going to be liberated when I read that next spiritual book. I'm not going to be liberated when I hear that next spiritual talk. I'm not going to be liberated after I go to the retreat, although it's going to help you. I'm not going to be liberated when such and such happens. I'm not going to be liberated when I finally find that enlightened guru who's going to make me liberated. No, that's not going to happen. You're going to be liberated when you finally embrace it and know it and accept it within yourself. And so that's the journey. Is to take time to know, I am free now. I am liberated now. Now, the ego can get a hold of that, and I'm liberated. I'm liberated, because the ego wants to feel superior, right? There's something called a spiritual ego, which is, I've been on the spiritual path for 40 years. I'm spiritual. Now that becomes an ego itself. Another way I can feel superior to other people because I'm spiritual. No, you're not. You're caught up in your ego. So the key is, yes, I'm liberated, meaning I am one with God. I and the Father are one, he said. You and the Father are one now, not in the future. Now, we're liberated now. Yogananda, when he first had his experience of liberation, it's told in his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, he wanted it since he was a kid. He wanted to experience that total liberation. And he looked for his teacher. He was seeking somebody who could help him do it. So finally, one day, his teacher came to him and thumped him on the heart. Boop, and Yogananda went into this experience of complete liberation, where he knew that he was one with the infinite God. And that's liberation, ladies and gentlemen. We tend to think, oh, I'm this body, I'm this personality, and you're you, and you're over there, and I'm over here, and, and I'm competing with them and him and you, and, I'm fighting this battle, and we're all fighting our little battles and competition, and everybody's trying to rise up and all that. The reality is there's only one living being. There's only God. This is all just a show. It's God's circus. And the fully liberated being feels themselves everywhere. The fully liberated being knows that they are everyone. And so Yogananda had that vast experience of his liberation, and then he came back into his regular consciousness, and his teacher said, okay, now let's sweep the porch. Okay, let's get grounded again. The old Buddhist saying, chop wood and carry water. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. You go about your life doing what you need to do from a different consciousness. From a different consciousness. That's what we're talking about. That's what the journey of awakening the chakras is all about. So Yogananda wanted to capture that experience in a poem. And he wrote a poem on the New York subway. He rode the subway up and down, up and down, up and down, writing this poem called Samadhi. Samadhi is the name for full God realization. And he told his students to memorize it and read it every day so they could begin to embody and capture what does liberation mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And so I encourage you. I memorized it a number of months ago. I was saying it every day. It was helping me. And then I stopped saying it every day. Need to go back to saying it again. But I encourage you to look it up on the internet. Samadhi, Samadhi, by Yogananda, and read it. You're not going to understand all the words. Don't worry about that. There will be some in there that you get, a lot of them in there that you get. When you memorize, you really start to understand it, and it can help you start to embrace what does it mean to be fully liberated? What did Jesus Christ mean when he said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free"? What did Jesus mean when he said, "The works that I do, you can do, and greater works than I"? What did Jesus mean when he said, "I want you to have the joy that I have"? What did it mean that you're going to sit by the side of me on the throne as I sit by the Father? What did he mean by all that? Well, you'll find out as you read and contemplate and begin to apply this idea. I encourage you to read the autobiography of a yogi and read about other people who understood and realized what it means to be fully liberated. That's what Jesus Christ meant by "Ye shall be a child of God, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free." Let's get still for a moment. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this time of remembering, this time of guidance and direction of how we can awaken to our spiritual essence as spiritual beings. Thank you for your great wise ones, Jesus Christ, and all the great saints and sages and masters who have not only taught but demonstrated and lived the way, the truth, and the life that helps us to know which direction we're going in. And how wonderful to know that in the midst of turmoil, things are going to get better. How wonderful to know that we're in the age of energy and that things can only get better. And we thank you, Spirit, for your presence that is the source of our strength, the source of our wisdom, the source of our confidence and courage to keep on keeping on, to continue to practice our faith, to continue to put you first in our life, to continue to believe the best about human beings and each other and ourselves, so that we can be part of this energy that moves us forward. Thank you, God, that we're on the cutting edge, that we are not just living in the age of energy, that the people in this room and the people that are listening to my voice on the internet right now, that they know that they are functioning from a place that's even bigger than the energy of this age. That we are seeking to live from a presence and power that is expressing in and through and as us. Thank you, God, for guidance and direction. Thank you for pulling us and guiding us and directing us in the way that we're going, so that we can truly be lights, light bearers, examples, and the presence of your peace and your love on this planet. And so it is. Amen.